Hello everyone, I'm Erice McNeff, the owner and lead designer of Everbloom Floral Design and one of your 2024 Mayesh Design Stars. I'm honored to be among such incredible talent in this year's Design Star series, and I have the honor of speaking to you about brand activation. Over the next 3 videos, we'll look at the business behind brand work, how to go from concept to final product delivery, and finally, I'll walk you through the mechanics of creating a product display activation. I started Everbloom Floral Design 7 years ago with the intent of focusing my work on event florals, but have been lucky enough to fall into the brand activation space. A few of the brands I worked with include Shein, Arbonne, Tresemme, Prada, Giorgio Armani, and Maison Margiela. I've learned a few things along the way, and I'm excited to share some of my insight with you. Some of the ways a brand might be looking to partner with a florist include florals for a product launch or premiere party, styling florals for a product ad or catalog photo shoot, or florals for an influencer event. It can be hard to know how to acquire this type of work, so if branding partnerships are something you'd like to pursue, I recommend keeping a pulse on the market in your area. Are there any planners who typically take on this type of work you can reach out to and connect with? Are there any venues or hotels that often host brand events? Can you offer your services to them in the hopes of being one of their preferred vendors? A photographer you might know may shoot product images for a brand. Don't hesitate to reach out and make connections with those who are already doing this type of work. Once you have your first inquiry, one of the key parts of establishing your business is figuring out how to price your services properly. It can be exciting to get an inquiry from a notable brand, but I want to encourage you to stand firm with your prices. Don't let a big name brand sway you into doing an event for exposure. If they're legit and they value your services, they should also have the funds to afford your services. I find a lot of florists have a hard time knowing how to price appropriately, especially when they're first beginning their careers. So I wanted to spend a minute breaking this down. We're gonna talk numbers here, so hang with me. Pricing should only be based on 2 things: how much it costs to produce something and your desired profit margin. That's it. It's not based on how much your client can afford, what you think someone is willing to pay, or even how much you want to charge. A healthy business will run off of a 60-40 profit model. That means from whatever the total cost of a job is, 40% of it will be used to pay for material costs, product, and labor needed to produce the job. The remaining 60% will be kept as profit. That means that money will go back into your business to keep it running and pay your salary as a business owner. It's most common within our industry to use a 4 times markup on the cost of product, in our case flowers, and then use a percentage of that total to cover the cost of production. Production would include materials like chicken wire, tape, ribbon, etc. Labor, paying freelancers like a strike team, transportation to a venue, and any accommodations needed for your team. In Southern California, roughly 40 to 45% of the total marked up floral cost is needed to cover all of the production costs for an event. So, for example, if the total estimated product comes to $250, you would mark up that item by 4 to bring it to $1,000. Let's say there are 10 of these $1,000 items that the client is asking for. That would bring the total floral cost to $10,000. Then, to cover production costs, you would add 40% or $4,000 to that. So, $10,000 is the cost of the flowers, and $4,000 for production to bring the pre-tax price to $14,000. Pricing this way will allow you to take the pre-tax cost and use the 60-40 profit model to comfortably cover all of your expenses and still take a profit after every job. The caveat being that you do still need to plan and monitor your spending as you begin to prep and hire for a job. For my example above, if we're working a job with a $14,000 pre-tax total, our working budget would be 40% of that, or $5,600. That means we have $5,600 to spend on flowers, labor, hard good materials, and any delivery or strike expenses. Mayesh is one of my favorite wholesalers because they allow you to place an order and get a pre-book price on the cost of flowers. It takes a lot of the guesswork out of budgeting for a job and has saved me from going over budget. I always chat with my wholesaler to make adjustments to a flower order if it's breaking my budget. Budgeting and pricing go hand in hand and can take a few events to get right. I want to encourage you to begin monitoring your budget as you complete a job and go back after an event to close out your expense costs so that you can price yourself better in the future. Again, it takes practice, so don't get discouraged if at first you're way off. Just keep an eye on it and slowly move the needle until you're within the 60-40 profit margin. Now, I know there are florists who discuss doing a 3 times markup instead of a 4, and I want to encourage you to move away from a 3 times markup if you're currently doing so. The main reason being the value of your time. As a business owner and floral designer, you are probably spending more hours working in your business than you think. It's rare that we actually factor our time into the jobs that we're doing. There is a lot more math I could get into, but to keep it simple, know that a 4 times markup is necessary in order to pay yourself a livable hourly wage and avoid burnout in your business. Remember that we're paying ourselves as business owners from that 60% profit of a job. Yes, with a 3 times markup at the end of the day, you may still be making money, but if you were to track your working hours and calculate your hourly wage, it would raise eyebrows in the not so good way. With a 3 times profit markup, your profit will be smaller and thus making your hourly wage smaller, which is why we always want to operate with a 4 times markup. My heart behind all of this is to encourage our industry to reconsider what it means to be a florist. When I first began my career, I was told that you become a florist because you love it, not because the money is great, and I want to challenge that. I believe that we as florists deserve to do what we love and deserve to make livable wages doing that. What we do now sets the tone for our industry and future generations of florists, and my hope is that we are making it easier for them to also make livable wages doing what they love. Thank you for hanging with me and hearing me out, and thank you, Mayesh, for valuing the education of floral designers everywhere and for taking the time to produce this video. I would love to continue this conversation. If anyone out there has any additional questions or wants to chat further, don't hesitate to reach out to me or follow my journey on Instagram.